slow reaction time, all of these. Let me back up. I say this like this. I often get Marines say they didn't report their TBIs because they're afraid it's going to interfere with their career. I don't want to report my TBI because I asked. I get colonels and captains in the clinic, and I asked them, well, why you wait until now when you're getting ready to retire, so it only looks like you're trying to pad your retirement? I tell them, just trying to get promoted. Well, I learned this from the medical officer out at 29 Palms. Lieutenant Anderson, told me that these aren't the types of things that really get you in trouble. It's if these things lead to these things. Because people thrive in the Marine Corps with TBIs, and in the Navy, we thrive with TBIs all the time. Doesn't hinder us, but if your TBI symptoms create these types of issues, now you may have a problem. If you can't qualify on the range, you're gonna have a problem. Decreased energy, decreased situation awareness, can't send her out on patrol. Wait a minute, who's ever been out on a combat patrol? Nobody yet. Who's been out on a training patrol? Perfect. Think about what it's like if you're the real combat patrol and you know your Marines are not paying attention to what's going on because of TBI issues. Reduced performance under pressure, trouble multitasking. Trouble multitasking, and then fear of performing in certain operational environments. That's fear of going out in combat. So the sergeant major hand walks one of his guns, it's a company gunny, hand walks the company gunny down to the clinic to talk to me. Well, that's not the way it's supposed to do it. This is supposed to be medical, I'm not clinical. But the sergeant major too, because the sergeant major had been in TBI training and wanted to make this gunny aware, because the sergeant major was claiming the gunny was suffering from all these issues. He's not paying attention, he can't focus. Doesn't seem like he has any energy anymore. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, the majority of service members recover quickly. Not all service members experience the same symptoms. You gotta remember that. You could be in the same vehicle, and the IED goes, well, that story I just gave you, the A gunner, he was okay. The driver wasn't. So, same TBI can cause various symptoms. Not all service members experience medical staff provide, this is what you're telling your Marines. They're just going to treat the symptoms in case of a concussion. Leadership support, this is important. When you teach this to your Marines right up front, they've already heard all of this stuff about TBI. Leadership support and medical guidance is essential in order for people to recover. That helps you so that when you put that Marine on light duty, and he looks like he's okay, and the first sergeant, why are you on light duty? Man, the doc said I had a TBI. First sergeant understands. Rather than once a question, why'd you put him on light duty? He's okay. He said he was okay. You know what I mean, right? Most concussions heal within, some people from their first concussion will be okay in minutes. You can hit your head, see stars, and a few minutes later, you're okay. You still get a mandatory 24-hour rest. Everybody say mandatory 24-hour rest.
Mandatory 24-hour rest.
That's automatic. But CO's guidance, and sometimes that will get waived. But that's rule number one they need to understand. If you say this person has had a concussion, even if you do the MACE and it shows negative and the person saying they're okay, but you know they had a concussion, they get a mandatory 24-hour rest. But some people will take hours to recover, some will take days, some will take weeks. 50% will still have symptoms 30 days later. So 30 days later, you can have 50% of people with a concussion, they're gonna still have symptoms. 80% of people will be fully recovered in 90 days. So that's what you should expect. Within 90 days, 80% of people with a concussion, they should be fully recovered. We're going to learn more about the progressive return to duty later. So things that help, just rest. maximum downtime, keep your sleeping quarters quiet, get enough sleep, and you have to tell your Marines what that means. You know it. Oh. When you talk to somebody about a TBI, if the word TBI comes up and you're suspecting potential concussive event, you have trick question. What's the single most important component to concussion treatment and rehabilitation? Rest is really important. What did you say, sir?
Time.
Time is really important, but listen to what I said. What's the single most important component? Sleep is really important, which is part of rest. Come on, give me another guess. What'd you say? Diagnose it. Well, if you don't diagnose it, you get it wrong in the first place. Absolutely correct. But what's the single most important? Oh, that's even better. But that ain't the, so let's say after you've had one, what's the single most important thing for TBI treatment and rehabilitation? Oh, shucks, it doesn't say it anymore. So the old form said, I don't know what it said. It said education. So the single most important component for concussion treatment and rehabilitation is education. You guys just need to know stuff. That's it. You're not gonna, there's no shot you can give him. So he hit his head, he saw stars a moment, but he doesn't have a headache. They got a TBI. They just need to know a couple of things. Like what? Like all the stuff you mentioned. You need to know, you gotta get, well, what does the brochure say? First they need to know, big deal. They need to know what the symptoms are. And the reason is this, I can best describe that like this. It was one of the flying units on Camp Pendleton. After the training was over, a sergeant comes up to talk to me and he's got tears in his eyes. And he tells me this, I know I had a TBI this weekend. Now, what do you mean? How do you know you did? He was in a, what do you call it, three-wheel thing? With a motorbike? ATV. He was in an ATV accident. He said he got knocked off the ATV out at the wherever they were at. And I said, well, how do you know he was knocked out? He said, well, I know I was knocked out because they woke me up later when I came to. So we know I had a TBI. But here's what he tells me. He said, I didn't know what I was going to do next. I said, what do you mean? He said, I was having dizziness issues. I was having anxiety. I was stressed out. I couldn't focus. I didn't know what was going on in my head. And I didn't know what I was going to do next. That made me have to get the IDC. So that command had an IDC. Need to come up and get him. In other words, he just needed to know the symptoms he was experiencing is okay. That's normal. But he didn't know that. So he was worried. So when you talk to a person about a TBI, first you're going to cover what are the symptoms, you're going to cover what they should expect. Now, some people will just hand this to them. No, you need to go over it with them. Maybe even read it to them. And then they need to know what they should expect. They need to know what they should do. They need to know what red flags are. Before you send them back, after the medical officer turns them back over to you, before you send them back, they need to know if this happens, you need to come back. If this happens, you need to come back. All that's written right in here. Right in here. Then on the back page, it actually tells them how they get back to full duty. People that actually should get this too, when you order this for your command, you need to take and drop it off in the COX on the first sergeant or sergeant major's office. And hopefully get them to want to come to TBI training. So what helps? All that stuff. What hurts? Oh, physical, that's what helps. And then what hurts? All the stuff we're going to do. People have a TBI, call off the rappelling tower, so the IDC calls me up. Hey, the command wants to know if a Marine can go hiking with a now let me make sure I say this. So how did he tell me this? He says, oh, that's good. Command wants to know if this Marine can go rappelling, that's what it was, can go rappelling if I'm treating him for a TBI right now. I said, what are you talking about? It's the first sergeant. So the first sergeant had a TBI. How do you know he had a TBI, Doc? Well, he explained, yeah, he had a TBI, and he's under TBI care right now, and the command wants to know, can he go rappelling? Because he needs to set the example. So I told the IDC, hell no, he can't go rappelling. And you can go tell the command, hell no, he can't go rappelling. Well, we won't go there. So then I actually told him if the command doesn't get it, tell him to call me. So in other words, the reason I tell you that is when the command knows all of this stuff, they don't ask crazy questions like that. They know. The doc's treating him for TBI, but the first sergeant looks okay. He looks okay, and he's a first sergeant. So why can't he go repelling? Because I said he had a TBI this morning. At McMatch training, he had the TBI. Now, that afternoon, they wanna go repelling. Okay, we got this out of the way. Some terms, so, shucks, I gotta take this out. Shoot. The Defense Health Agency told me something about this yesterday, so we're not gonna talk about that. So what are the other symptoms? Headache, sleep disturbances, we already talked about all of that. These are physical symptoms you should look for. Why are you shaking your head? What are you thinking? Okay. Physical symptoms, then there are cognitive symptoms, and then again, these are the emotional symptoms related to TBI. If you don't know TBI, that person winds up in mental health. And then mental health refers them to us. Okay, some symptoms from TBI overlap PTSD. These are the TBI symptoms, PTSD symptoms, these are the overlapping symptoms. Just be aware of that, the docs, you guys will handle that. Okay, sustaining multiple concussions, first TBI, we expect you to be okay. But if you have 2 of them before the first one heals, the second one can be 10 times worse. The symptoms could be more severe, and they may need more time to recover. How do you prevent TBIs? Just be smart. Use your protective gear, be aware of dangers, wear your helmet, and if you're playing sports, think about what you can do. Marine Corps policy, there's all these different guidance, I'm not even gonna cover that if you wanna know it. If you're gonna be teaching it, I can send you the slide. According to the policy, what you need to know though is you gotta do 2 things. You have to be this is what you're teaching your Marines. They have to be able to identify and track and ensure appropriate protection of service members when exposed to concussive events. And then they have to know they get a mandatory 24-hour rest. So you tell them, if you train your battalion or your squadron, they know right up front. When that Lance Corporal shows up and shows his what do you call that sheet of paper you give them that they show the command they're on light duty?
Light duty chip.
Say it again, sir?
The chip.
The chip. I couldn't remember. Yeah, when they show up and the first sergeant, the sergeant major, or his NCOIC sees, would you write on the chip, potential concussive event, potential TBI, how would you write that?
You don't have to disclose the keys, right?
Yeah, because you don't want it to be like HIPAA, so you'd say like SIQ and for 24 hours or whatever, light duty for 24 hours, and then you write the restrictions and follow up.
Awesome.
24 hours.
Thank you for reminding me of that. So when you write the restrictions, here's what we learned. They don't care about those restrictions. So somehow, there's another training thing that we do where we teach the corpsmen how to make sure that your patients, when they leave, they understand what the TBI restrictions actually mean. When you have to literally explain it to them. When we say you're going home sick on quarters, that doesn't mean go playing basketball that evening, playing video games, drinking Red Bull, or going out to the beach. It means go back to the room. In other words, you gotta spell it out. Does that make sense, Doc? So there's 2 major things you have to know when it comes to policy and stuff. Pre-deployment, your unit's gotta do TBI training. Oh, let me rephrase that. They have to do the ANAM. So there's 2 things. First, before your unit deploys, you gotta do the ANAM. Now usually the S3 will know that. Sometimes they wait till the last minute to figure out the second thing. The second thing is, we all gotta get TBI training. Now that's generally you. Unless you don't wanna do it, understand, that's what the government pays me to do. You can just pick up the phone, tell me, hey, my command's doing this day and this day, are you available? I'll come in and do the training. Why are you smiling? Yeah, so here's why I brought that up. Every now and then I get a command, wait till the last minute to realize, oh shoot, we haven't done TBI training. And then the corpsman is the one that gets stuck with trying to call me to get me to come out on Saturday. So do I come? Yeah, of course I do. I'm here to support you, whatever you need, TBI wise. Just make sure you have the donuts and the coffee. These are the 3 mandatory requirements for getting the 24-hour rest. Any service member involved in a vehicle blast, collision, or rollover, 24-hour rest. Within 50 meters of a blast, 24-hour rest. Anyone who sustains a direct blow to the head, 24-hour rest. And then the CO says so, or you say so. If you have reason to think this person should have an assessment, forget the 24 hours. The assessment, you can make that call. Okay, there's 5 things the Marines need to know. They need to be able to recognize a TBI. You think you can tell them how to recognize a TBI? If you can, say I got it. You two didn't move your lips. Do you think you can teach them how to recognize a TBI? Say I got it. Let me show you the trick. Here's the trick. All you do is say, once I got this form, I can. Because all you do is show them the form. Well, actually, if you're doing the training, you're going to use a slide. Yes.
Can I get that? 'Cause I'm missing
This
it.
one? No, because I ran out of them when I thought I had a stack, but the stack I had was a stack of these. So I only have this one. It's easy to order. Just look on all that paperwork you have, look on the back, you'll find the DivBig website. Just go there and it's free. Order it, ship it, wherever you need it. I'd order it today, because, especially you. Because when are you going? That's next month. You need to order it today. Because it takes like 2 or 3 weeks to show up. So, we know how to recognize a TBI. What's the referral? What do you have to refer them to? Medical. They need to know if they have a TBI, they gotta be referred to medical. Reports, they have all kinds of significant action reports, and we're about that. What's the rest period?
24 hours.
Everybody say 25 hours.
24
And then you
hours.
send them back to duty. So we covered all of that. That's pretty simple. We talked about the heads card. That's the old form. So this is the form I was saying. The old form looked like this. The new form looks like this. So covered all of that. So the service member gets a 24-hour event. 24 hours starts at the time of the event. So the 24 hours begins at the time of the event, not when they show up in the BAF. Additional time may be required. That's just clinical judgment. Compliance, this is what you're teaching the Marines. Compliance with medical recommendations is critical for recovery. Early detection following appropriate treatment is important. Second exposure before the first one heals could be 10 times worse. Concussions can have a significant impact on the operations if it's left undetected, and physical and mental rest is important. Leaders, when I get to this slide with your Marines, I stress this. Leaders and commanders have a responsibility in the execution of concussion policy. All that means is you need to know the stuff you have to do. 3 things. If they have a TBI, they gotta get a Macy, but you gotta call a corpsman. Corpsman's gonna put them on 24 hours light duty or sick in quarters, and you need to support that. Bam, 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 bam. How to prevent TBIs, we covered all of that. Don't need to worry about that. We covered that. Am I going the wrong way? Here we go. So, last little slide, pre-deployment requirements, that's all the stuff you gotta do. In the case of TBI, your unit just needs to get this training, and your corpsmen need to get the MACE training, and they need to do the ANAM. While you're deployed, gotta report all TBI, ensure medical evaluation, 24-hour enforcement, and then when you come back, you have to do the PDHA. You all know that, right? Okay, perfect. Because I had a big meeting last week, DHA was down here, and one of the discussions involved whether people were doing the PDHA. What are you thinking, sir?
I mean, it's like a kind of a point of contention, where like, sometimes people won't do the PDHA, but then they'll do that, but that'll be like in 2013, and they'll have done like 3 or 4 EPHAs in between now and then. And then the PDHA ends up getting done like in 2019 after all their issues have been addressed, and it's just like an administrative.
That's like what the discussion was about at this meeting, and DHA was, so it's Captain Pine, anybody know Captain Pine, sports medicine guy, maybe? He's the director of DivBig at the DHA, and, don't be surprised if you see some new stuff come down once DHA takes over. Okay, enough of that. That's the Intrepid Spirit. That's our concussion care clinic. You guys use the hospital. If you want to come get a tour, you can refer people to us, as you mentioned. If you want to get a tour, you can. That's what I think makes us special, the Intrepid Spirit. We have all of these specialists underneath one roof, and we work together in an interdisciplinary fashion. Camp Pendleton also has a TBI and cognitive performance training course. That's not the name anymore. The new name is Warfighter Brain Health Course. It's the course for the non-patient population. In other words, it's designed for people that are not patients. So all your Marines that don't want to go get TBI treatment, they don't want it documented, you can refer them directly to me and they can join the Warfighter Brain Health. All we cover is how to get better sleep, how to focus, how to concentrate, how to improve your memory, all basic topics that make your brain better.
Is that only available at Pendleton?
I'm the only one doing it.
Okay.
Well, let me rephrase that. The SEALs do it, and this is what I got mine from. I spoke to the psych down there at Naval NSW. What's that stand for? Naval Special Warfare. So I spoke to her, and she helped me put together the program. And the Marine Corps Raider Battalion, they do it. I don't know if anyone else is doing anything similar to what we call our Warfighter Brain Health. It was originally going to be called it right there, the Cognitive Optimization Program. Then, the Deputy Secretary of Defense came out with that memo, Warfighter Brain Health. Has anybody seen that memo? You want to Google it, Deputy Secretary of Defense.